Yeah, not always same. You don't have to be a star to raise a bar. We're all links in the chain. Hi guys, it's Lilly.
And LindaRose, how's everybody doing today?
We're so excited to be getting to do this episode with you guys. It's episode 3 of our show, and so far it's just been such an amazing experience getting to do this for everybody.
100%. It's been so fun so far, and I can't wait to continue with our episodes.
Last week's episode was so much fun getting to interview Kendra Dantes. She was such an amazing person to interview, and it was an awesome experience, and everybody's support was awesome, and everybody's just been so supportive too. So I just wanted to give a quick second to thank everybody so much for their support so far.
100%.
Today's show is going to be super exciting, and we have some new things we wanted to share with you guys today for our show.
Today's episode is actually focused on art, and we have an interview to show you guys.
We're going to be discussing some of the challenges females face in the arts industry as well.
And at the end of the episode, we're going to be sharing an art montage, much like our musician art montage, but it's an art montage instead.
Next is our interview with the aspiring artist, Addie. She's our featured artist of the month, so please go follow her on her social media links. We're going to be posting them in our Orchid Times Facebook group, and her links are also in the description for anybody who wants to go follow.
And make sure you stay tuned after the interview because we will be showing the montage, and we'll be having a few 15 minutes of us just talking about some stuff since this is a new episode for us since we're not doing music.
Yeah, and it's just so cool to be able to interview Addie. Addie's actually my sister, so I'm super excited to be able to do an interview and be able to promote her too as our artist for the month.
100%. It was so much fun to film this interview. We had to do a pre-recorded interview because time zones are hard, especially since we're in different time zones and other people can be in different time zones, and it's just harder to have people, and especially some people don't like interviewing live, and we want to do what's best for the people we're interviewing.
So true, and Addie was just really easy to interview too, so let's go ahead and bring up the interview to show you guys. Today we're going to be interviewing Addie, and I'm so excited to be able to do this. Hi, Addie. Thanks so much for coming on and letting us interview you today.
You're welcome.
Hi, Addie.
Hi.
When did you start painting or start doing artistic stuff?
I started painting a couple of months ago. I've always had a really large passion for like drawing and sketching. And as I just said, I recently just started painting 4 months ago. So yeah.
That's really cool. What do you like? All your art looks so beautiful. So I was wondering, do you have a specific like favorite thing to paint?
Yes, actually. I love painting birds. Like I will go out and photograph birds, and then I'll come home and look at the photos and then paint them.
Wow, that's so awesome. Could you talk a little bit more about your drawing birds and like why you like it and stuff?
So with birds, like I've always loved them, and I just love drawing them and getting all those details. And then when it's done, I love it.
That's so cool.
So your favorite thing is drawing birds or taking photos of birds. And some people go through different processes of how they come up with, how they start, how they pull it together. How do you start your paintings, or how do you pull them together at the end to make them look as great as they are?
What I do is at first I do the background, then I actually do the sketch, and then that's when I actually fill it in.
How long does it take you to sketch out just the plain image before you actually color it in? How long does that take you?
At the shortest times, it's taken about 5 minutes. Usually on a normal basis, it takes about 15 minutes.
Wow, that's so great, and your sketches and your bird drawings are always so beautiful. And that was such great insight on the process too. I know you said that you enjoy painting birds, but what are some of the other inspirations for your art?
Um, the other inspirations for my art is like sometimes I like sometimes I like drawing my cat. Sometimes I paint desert scenes. But usually I only paint like things that I have photographed.
Well, that's so cool. And is there a specific style that influences your art, or a specific style or idea that you like to paint?
Um, Not really. I usually just stick to realistic art.
Yeah, your paintings always have so good detail, and they're just so beautiful.
Thank you.
So you've painted a lot, even though you just started so recently. You've painted a lot. You've gotten really good at it. You've painted so many things. What paint project has been your favorite?
That's a hard one, but I think my favorite is probably my bald eagle.
I saw that one. I really liked it. I thought it was really pretty.
Thank you.
Would you show your painting to the audience today?
Yes.
Wow, such great shading too. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Could you explain a little bit of why that painting is your favorite?
It's my favorite because like the background that I did, all the little feather details. It was actually one of the first photographs that I took. Like it's kind of that photograph that I did. It's kind of what inspired me to start painting.
That's awesome. Where did you take that first photograph, and when did you take it?
I took it like about 3 years ago at the Oregon Zoo.
That's so cool. You're so talented and make amazing art, but I was wondering if you've ran into any specific challenges as a young aspiring artist, and what did you do to help yourself get over those roadblocks?
So the problems that I had was sticking with doing the art because sometimes it gets hard, but once you start it, it's kind of good to like not quit and just keep going even when it gets difficult, and then then you'll eventually just start getting better and better, and then you'll eventually love it.
So true. It's so important to stick with stuff once you start it. What advice would you give other young aspiring girls who want to pursue art to help guide them through some of the challenges that you faced when you were first starting?
Don't give up even when it gets hard. It may get really difficult at some points, but that's okay. Just stick with it and then it will get better.
So you've recently started painting. What made you say you wanted to start it? What made you kind of start painting? And did you like look at a photograph and say, I want to try to paint that? Or kind of what was your thought process when you started painting?
Well, I just I thought that it would be fun to start with watercoloring. So I watercolored this bird and I really liked it. So I started watercoloring more and more, and then eventually I moved on to canvas painting.
That is so cool. Would you show us one of your watercolor paintings?
Yes.
Wow, that's so detailed.
Thank you.
It's really pretty. What type of bird is that?
This is a black-capped chickadee.
And why did you decide to paint that one?
Well, I've always loved black-capped chickadees. I've always thought that it was just kind of cute, like how they would just jump around and stuff. So I decided that one day that I wanted to paint one.
That is so beautiful too.
Thank you.
What's the experience like for you painting? What's like the beginning steps? Obviously, the beginning steps is sketching it, but kind of what are the steps you go through? And then when you're done, how do you kind of frame it, or how what's just the experience and process like?
So I absolutely love painting. And once I'm done painting the picture, I usually don't frame it. I usually just sign it and then I just put it to the side and eventually I sell it.
That's so good and such great insight on the process too. I bet sometimes it can be so hard to think of what to paint, and it's amazing that you're able to use your own photos as like inspiration for your paintings. Are there certain steps that you need to take in order to take a photo of a bird?
So usually what I do is that first I study the bird and then I pick a really good place to photograph it. And then I make sure beforehand that there's good lighting. And then I take the photo, I come home, and I paint it.
So cool.
What are your favorite birds to photograph? And then after you tell me what favorite birds you are to photograph, what favorite birds are to paint?
So my favorite birds to photograph are probably waterfowl because usually they're not that afraid of humans and then they just glide so gracefully through the water that it's super easy to get a really good shot of it. And my favorite birds to paint are probably birds of prey because you get to add all those sharp details.
Yeah. And I bet the experience is just so rewarding getting to see your painting and photograph after it's done. I was wondering, before you go out to photograph, is there any like prep you have to do beforehand?
Yeah, as I just said in the earlier questions, usually I study the birds beforehand in the area, and then as I said, I get a good location, get good lighting, and then I just take the pictures.
Could you talk a little bit more about what's involved with the studying of the bird beforehand?
Usually what I do is that I look up the birds, I study which locations are best to find them, their feeding habits, the location, like the kinds of habitats they like, and then I research which places are like that, and then I go and photograph the birds.
So it's important before you go to photograph to make sure that you know what you're wanting to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Where has been the coolest place that you've gone to that you were able to photograph birds at or really photograph anything?
I think that by far my favorite place has been this place called Lorenzi Park because like it's got multiple little ponds and there's thousands of waterfowl there and people are there all the time and they're not afraid to you. They'll just walk up to you and then I get so many good photos because of that.
Wow,
You
yeah,
go, Lily.
sounds like a wonderful location.
What's
It
your
is.
favorite place to photograph that is either closer to your house or just easier to get to?
I would probably say my other favorite one is probably Clark County Wetlands Park because it's like a wetlands area and you can just go and there's so many birds there, songbirds, waterfowl. I've seen a couple of hawks and falcons there. One time I got a really good photo of an owl there too.
Wow. And I know earlier you were talking about your experiences with photographing waterfowl and birds of prey, you had said, but could you talk more about your photographing of like more common birds? Because I know that you said earlier you showed your black-capped chickadee painting.
Yeah, with the bird. What I love about photographing birds is that I like to take the birds that nobody really pays any attention to and capture the true beauty in them so that they get recognized more.
Wow, that's so true. And what's your like process with painting the songbirds and the less known birds?
So what I do is that I get the good photographs and then I come home. Of course, I do the background. And then I make sure to get every single detail and really just capture the beauty in them. And then I, of course, paint them in and after I'm done painting, I take like really fine tipped brushes and add all those tiny little details in.
Yeah.
Do you have
and your
any tips for young girls who maybe have just gotten their first camera? Do you have any tips on maybe how to find the good lighting or just different ways to set up your camera in ways of like posing or just kind of moving around to get good shots?
So what I would suggest is so of course get a good camera, and then I would suggest to go take photos of birds at lunchtime, because then the lighting is perfect. It doesn't matter if it's super bright or overcast. At lunchtime, either way, the lighting's practically always perfect. And then make sure to get a right angle. I honestly like taking headshots of birds, and make sure to get a good focus. That's really important.
What types of angles when you're photographing birds would you say is the easiest, and which ones is the hardest to capture?
So, in my opinion, the easiest ones are getting good headshots. The ones that I'm never able to get is birds in mid-flight. Those are so hard because then you have to struggle to get a good one where they're not flapping their wings, where the camera doesn't make the wings or the bird like a giant blur, and where it just captures the flight perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And your photos always turn out so professional, but what are some of the challenges and obstacles you've ran into while photographing, and what are some ways that you made it easier?
So the problems I've had is finding a good location, getting good lighting, because sometimes you may go out at 4 o'clock and it's already sunset, and then you don't really get the best lighting because sunset happens fast. And then next thing you know, it's dark, and then you can't get any good photographs.
Yeah.
And another thing is finding a really good location, because if you just pick a random park, sometimes they won't always have birds due to human populations in the park.
Such great advice, and I know that a lot of our people watching who is aspiring to be photographers and painters will really, this advice will really help them a lot.
Do you suggest, you say you research parks and stuff before you go to them, do you suggest other artists do that?
Yes, because sometimes, I went to this park one time expecting, because I saw photos of peacocks on there on Google Maps, and I went there, and there were no birds at all. Not even any of the common birds. It was bare of birds. There was nothing there.
Before we go ahead and close out the interview, would you like to show a few more of your paintings that you have?
Yeah, I've got one more.
Wow, so beautiful in that background too.
Yeah, it's a pretty background. The background reminds me kind of Christmas, which is my favorite holiday, so it makes me like it even more.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And this has all been such amazing advice and some insight about your experience with painting and photography. What is your favorite part, would you say, about your photography and painting experiences?
I would say my favorite part of photography is getting to capture the beauty in the birds and just getting to focus really on that bird and able to get so close to it, because honestly, I absolutely love birds. And my favorite part about painting is just feeling the brushstroke against the canvas and feeling that I can create whatever I want.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure it's just so free to be able just to look at a canvas and just be able to paint whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been a great interview, and thanks so much for coming on and letting us interview you. We're going to be sharing your links throughout the rest of this month, so we're so excited for that.
This was such a great interview. I really enjoyed it. Your paintings are incredible. Your photography is incredible. You can tell the amount of emotion and passion you have for it and just talking about it. And it was really incredible to interview you. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and we're going to be posting your links and everything, so everybody please go, because she's our featured artist for the month, so we're going to be posting our links, so it would mean so much if you guys would go ahead and follow her. I'm sure that she appreciates it. Thanks so much again for coming on, Addie. Thanks so much for the interview too. It's been so much fun.
Yes, I've had a lot of fun.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was such an amazing and fun interview to do with her.
Yeah, especially so the montage she just showed at the end of the episode was Addie's photos that she's taken. And I mean, they're beautiful. They're really good.
Yeah, the colors are just so vibrant in them, and she has great like filters on her camera and everything.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's so cool. Especially for you, and to ask you a question. Actually, what was it like interviewing your sister, especially since you guys were in two different rooms but in the same house?
It was pretty fun. She answered like a few things that I wouldn't have expected her to answer, so that was fun. It was a little hard trying to do it in two different rooms because we had some feedback, but it was really fun to get to interview her.
So, since this is our new episode, our art episode, and our show is all about empowering women and building them up, we've done some research, and I've looked at this place for a little while. This is a museum. It's the National Museum of Women in the Arts. It is in Washington, D.C. It's under renovation right now because they're trying to make it a lot better since the building is really old. So it's under renovation to kind of make it newer and just make it more safe. But this museum is completely filled with art by women. There is no art by men in there. It's all women. Um, they're they sell books, and it's just a really amazing place, especially since it's so close to me. We've gone to Washington so far, and on the map it's not close, but the way we go there, it's closer, and I love it. I think it's a really good place to have, especially for women aspiring to be in the arts once they open back up. They plan to open back up in 2023, which when they open back up, we're gonna go see it.
Definitely. I know I would love to go see it, even though I'm super far away. Their goal is just awesome. It's all about getting women's art more recognized and respected, which is just a really important goal because females in the art industry have a lot of like trouble getting their art like recognized and seen, and their art is sometimes undervalued. So it's really important to have resources like that.
Yeah, their main goal, the people who made this, I'm not 100% sure who made it. There's a lot of different creators. I think there's over like 15, and I didn't feel like naming them all, to be honest, because I'm lazy. But it's so many people came up with this, and their goal is just to empower women and show their art, since art is mostly based around men. Like, you not like, if when you think of art, probably Van Gogh comes to your mind, or anything like that, Pablo Picasso. And mostly men come to your mind. You don't really have a lot of women when you think of art that comes to your mind. So they really want to get women's art out there. And I know before they went under renovation, they had so many visits. You can donate to them as well. They also fundraise for women. They do a lot of awesome stuff there.
Definitely. And it's so cool that they're like right now they're under renovation to like tie it all together. And I know LindaRose is talking about their books, but they have this really cool one called The Trouble with Women Artists, and it really focuses and brings attention to some of the issues that females have in the arts industry. So I think it's just really important and awesome that they have these other resources.
You can also buy posters. They have on their site, and they do this. You can get one. I took a tour video before they went under renovation. At the beginning of your walk in, if you're getting a tour or something, they give you a pamphlet. And they do this thing called Women of the Day. And it's basically just a woman of art, and it's completely amazing, and it tells you about her. And they also have quotes throughout the museum on the walls of people's quotes and what they're like and why they said that. And they're going to try to transfer that over after the renovation as well.
Yeah. So everybody, if you guys are interested in it, go check out the NMWA website. They are incredible, and they're just so inspiring to other female artists. Actually, only 78% of art galleries 78% of art galleries represent more male artists than female art, which is really sad.
And even sadder, only 5% of art galleries equally represent men and women. So some art galleries, unlike this one, have men and women, and they only 5% of the millions and millions of art galleries around the world represent them equally. And even though it says equally, it's still not completely equal. There's still usually more men pictures and arts than there is women, because women just aren't as recognized in the industry, which is really, really sad.
Yeah, and it's just really important, like, that it's hard for women to get their art recognized, which makes it hard for them to become, as popular as they want to be as female artists. So it's really important that we inspire other young female artists, and other people inspire young female artists too, because eventually, like, if you work hard enough, you will be able to get your art seen. It takes a lot more work, but it is possible.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to make the show. It's Our base idea was music, but we wanted to branch out to more women because there's just so many struggles in this world for women. And it's so only 13.7 of living artists represented by galleries or in galleries are in Europe, and are really there's not a lot of African American artists that are represented there. If this a women gallery end up NMWA, they are actually equally represented of both, um, and even in these art galleries with men and women, I just want to bring up the fact that African American women or African American, yeah, are not represented as much with males too. It's sad because it it just doesn't make sense to me why women can't be as involved or as represented. And this museum, I think, is just going to make a huge change after this renovation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have made, like, a lot of more, like, leaps and bounds better than it was before, but there is still a lot more to go, and, like, getting females art, music, whatever seen. There's some more struggles and everything, because females are majorly unrepresented and undervalued in galleries, museum, and even auctions.
Yeah. So I don't know about anyone watching, but I am a huge, huge Marvel fan. I was so excited when I saw this on one of their blogs on the NMWA. Um, I got really excited about this, and I needed to share it. It's amazing. So a huge percentage and a huge percentage. Most Marvel movies are directed and written and illustrated by men. And Marvel announced a few months ago that they're coming out with a collection of series that is completely illustrated, written, and directed by women, which is very exciting for me because it's great. It's just having some place as big as Marvel come up with that is really inspiring for some people who want to be in that industry, for some women that want to be in that industry, but are brought down by how many men are in it. The Marvel, how big they are, this is a really big movement.
Definitely. I was reading too on the NMWA, and female producers and directors have a lot of trouble too getting seen. So it's really great that Marvel is giving female producers and directors that chance and, like, representation and stuff in the arts industry.
Yeah, after throughout this, I've been doing research on it. I'm gonna be trying to posting as many updates as I can on our Facebook about this because I'm so excited about it.
Definitely. It is totally awesome. And we wanted to spend some time too talking about a few, like, really important female artists that did pave the way for future female artists to have a little bit of an easier time. And there's a lot of great female artists who have done this. We just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about a few of them.
Yeah, and so me and Lily both have one artist that we wanted to mention on here. So Lily, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I will. Frida Kahlo is the artist that is really inspiring to me. She was an artist that really changed the music industry for a lot of female artists. Her art was really new at the time because it was based on serious subjects and intense emotional content. Her paintings were about personal experiences that she had and that she had heard about other women having to deal with. And her paintings rise above gender boundaries. She also painted a little bit about her experiences with chronic pain, which was really like inspirational to me. Um, she used native folk art styles to like tie her paintings together and to explore subjects such as gender, class, and race in Mexican society. Most of her artwork is inspired by nature and artifacts of Mexico. Frida Kahlo was regarded as an icon actually for the feminism movement and the LGBTQ plus movement, which is really inspiring to me because it's so awesome that an artist would be able to become an icon for both of those. Her paintings often feature root imagery. In one of her paintings, roots grew from her body and tied her to the ground, which I read about, and it symbolized self-growth and moving forward and positivity. She only produced around 150 to 200 paintings in her painting career, and her work actually remained relatively unknown until the 1970s. But it's amazing that now she's one of the most popular female artists, and that's just so great to hear about that her art was being represented in everything. Her self-portrait from 1929 sold for more than $5 million in an auction, which is a perfect example of how her artwork's representation has grown. Frida Kahlo was an amazing artist, and she helped pave the way for future female artists, definitely.
So the artist I picked is Mildred Thompson. Actually, after the renovation of the museum, her art and paintings and her sculptures will be in that museum. So in 2023, at some point when they finish the renovation, if you want to go see her art, you can there. She was a female artist. She was African American, and she was a huge painter. Sadly, she passed in 2003 from natural causes, and she was a big inspiration for a lot of people. If you go on their blog and you look at the comments on their blog, it's just so many people loved her. They did a feature for her on their blog, and it was really touching. She suffered not just with racism, but she suffered with being a woman in the industry. She suffered a lot. A lot of people said she couldn't do it. Her parents weren't too supportive either, especially how that all kind of played together. Couldn't help with the mental health, along with the mental health problems she already had. But she pushed through it. She does abstract art, and her art she's said her art is inspired by multiple things, but some of her abstract art is about what goes on in her mind. So her abstract art is very messy, but in a way that you can kind of understand how her brain works different than others. She has also went into an editing industry and became later an editor for a newspaper in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was kind of what started her to starting in movements. She became a big activist in movements, especially in women movements, trying to build women up. She did a lot of those. And she was also a big part of African American movements, which was just great. She is a featured artist in their museum when they renovate it, and you can find her in that museum. You can also find her work online, and you can buy copies of it, which is amazing.
Definitely, and she's just so inspiring. I've seen a few pictures of her artwork, and it's definitely just so beautiful, how you can understand some of her abstract artwork. It's just so beautiful and so touching.
She did a piece of art. I showed it to Lilly last night on FaceTime. She did this piece of art that is completely made out of dots and lines. Some of them connect, some of them don't. It's completely made of dots and lines, and that was one of her first pieces that really spoke to her when she made it, because it really just expressed what goes on in her mind.
Definitely. And we also wanted to talk a little bit about Some of the issues that females have with differences in their art pay to equal pay that they have for their art. There's actually a 47.6% discount for women's art when it's at auctions, which is so sad. And yeah.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure men's art, if they do have a discount, it's not large like that. But I'm pretty sure they don't even have a discount at auctions. I think it's just a straight on thing.
Yeah.
Which is sad that women's art goes through a discount when men's, even if they do go through a discount, it's not as large as that, which is really sad because there's no difference. It's just art.
And that also makes it really hard when that stuff like that with the 47.6% discount for females to get their art like represented and focusing on trying to get their art valued and like the same respect levels as other men's art when it's having that type of discount and stuff put on it.
Yeah, and especially without the discount, women don't make a lot of money in the industry, as they earn 74 cents for every dollar made by male artists. 74 cents.
That's just so sad because like 74 cents, it adds up after a while.
It adds up, and women's with that discount and with that, it just it doesn't add up to enough money, especially if this is where you go for your entire career. This is what you're focusing on because this is what you have a passion for. You should be able to follow through with it without having to worry about money, especially since male artists in the industry don't worry about that money because they don't have to.
Definitely. And again, that just ties into some previous concepts we were talking about, that it's just really important that people work towards, everybody just needs to work towards getting female art represented and valued at the same amount as male art, because it's like all about representation and respect for their art. And there's no reason for it to be as it is. It really needs to change.
Yeah, that's why I was so excited when I found out about that museum, because not only is it just a museum, a lot of people probably realize when watching it, it's also really just also a movement. It's like, it's amazing for women to know, especially if you're going into the industry, that there's going to be a museum that is fully for women artists. It's no men artists in there. It's just completely women. And they even have younger women's art in there, which is insane that some museums don't even have art for kids under the age of like 25 or people under the age of 25. And they're going to have that in there as well.
Which also is going to inspire young female artists who want to get into the industry, that it is possible for them to get their art seen and recognized more. And that's just really inspiring.
Yeah, I think it just inspires women and young women to know that you can do it, and that there are places that are trying to do this, and that there is a way you can help, especially since you can donate to them, and they use those donations to help renovate, as they're doing right now, to help get other women's art in there, and they donate to some women shelters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this episode has been I'm so happy to be able to talk to you guys about some of these issues. And it was just so great. And thank you guys all for the positive feedback and support. I know Facebook was glitching for a little bit. It seems like it's working now. But if you guys would go ahead and share our episodes too with your friends and family, that would mean so much. And put your questions in the chat or send them to Messenger, email, or Instagram, because they're really important for our next episode.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, you can follow us on our Facebook page at Orchid Times Show. You can also follow us on our Instagram at orchid.times.shows.
And follow our featured musician, Holly Mae, and actually our featured artist now, Addie. They all put so much work into their art and music, and it's really important that we just give them support.
Next week's episode is our last episode for the month of February. And the questions are very important for that episode. So we really need those questions. So if you have any, don't be afraid to ask them, as we will get to them.
Definitely. And in the description, we have where you guys can contact us to send us those, and send us your talent submissions too, so we can play them in future episodes. Next is the talent montage, which I'm super excited to show you guys. So stay tuned and watch the talent montage. There's some amazing female art submissions, and I'm so excited to get to share it with you guys.
100%. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed doing it live. And as much as we enjoyed filming Lily's little sister Addie, as she was so good. Her photography is amazing. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a nice night and a nice rest of the week. See you next week.
Bye.